Hi, I'm Moto. I build stuff and sometimes it's good. And today we're looking at a Blacktron Mecha Kaiju. This is my attempt to learn the Bionicle system. I started on December 24th, 2019 and went through the year into late February for the leap year day. And yeah, I built this in my basement and at a playground with kids and adults, and it was really fun.
That does sound like fun. Now, when you say this was your attempt to learn the Bionicle system, had you never really built with these types of pieces before and you just wanted to really tackle something big?
I did. So a lot of my builds, what I try to do is always learn a new technique or a new method. And Bionicle, I saved toward the end, which was a good idea because I had more experience. And I went to Bricks and Minifigs over the holiday with Small Art Director, two different ones. We gutted all the black and silver out of them, just got hundreds of elements, sorted them all out, and then I started to figure out how I wanted to assemble it into the largest possible bad creature I could do. And I've got black lights on it today. I wanted something that would fluoresce, look good in a glow zone. And it's not pure Bionicle. There's Hero Factory, but basically anything construction is mixed into Technic transitions and a little bit of clip and bar around the head.
You've even got some old like underwater pieces. Like I'm looking at like the
Yeah,
cockpit
so
cover here.
yeah, when I do Easter eggs, it's like NPU or classic vintage Easter eggs. So yeah, you're noticing down here the classic shark head. Over here, some great alien effect. Coming around, I'm trying not to trip on things. That was hot. Right in there. And then some of the Technic ball shooters are in there. And I do have some electronic effects over the shoulders. So basically anything that's a bad weapon or bladed, I put into the model. Just kept stacking more and more weapons into it.
And what was your inspiration for the build overall? Was there any kind of like concept art, that sort of thing, movies, TV, anything like that?
No, I just built from my imagination. I knew I wanted something that was Blacktron enhanced and more magical. So what I did originally is started with the head. The head always gives kind of like the position and demeanor of the beast. I knew I wanted to make a rack of horns that was just insane. And once I had the head down, that gave the proportions for trying to get the torso, the body, and it looked too wacky, so I tore the whole thing apart and doubled the size. Yeah, that's
Just
what
casually.
just casually tear it apart. People kind of lost their minds when I tore it all apart, but it wound up being a lot better for it. Yeah.
So take us through some of the smaller details and pieces in that head then. Let's start there because that is one of the best elements of the whole build here.
Yeah, let's walk through some different techniques. So there are clip and bar elements over here, and this is Abaddon. So Abaddon, from the historical references, wears the crowns of their defeated enemies. So there's a lot of whatever wanabes that have fallen before this thing. The eyes are have official Lego stickers that I cut into the irises. They do glow. Working out the different sort of components I wanted to get for the beak and the eye sockets, that took a while to shape out. So once I had the head down, I think everything else started to work pretty well. Just using a million chest pieces for the chest cavity there. It's supposed to look like almost segmented armor that can react and move as it would walk or stomp down the course to attack its enemies. I also have some clip and bar in the hands. So Abaddon was originally the greatest hero of my theme called Astra, and there's the corrupted ring. So we all know the one ring corrupts, and there's the ring on the hand that has corrupted this beast. There's also a flamethrower tank, so it's asymmetric. Over here is the flamethrower tank that would feed a cosmic weapon that's on the other side. I'll try to step aside so you can try to reach around and take a look at that. And then around each elbow, there are strings of fire, chains of fire with chain effect balls that it could swing. There's a triglaive pike element in the right hand. And since we're on the back side, what recently came out was the Ninjago Cyber stuff. So I did bricks and pieces, got a bunch of those to detail out the back, and then every sort of bladed component I could throw onto the tail led into a bladed effect that can move, twist, and of course magical pew pew wands. Every bad guy needs those, so that was cool. And just tons of detail. It's just packed with a lot of detail for the eye to pick up and see. More clip and bar around the wings. So these wings are kind of freely attached and floating here in person, because every dragon needs wings. That's a thing. And just trying to give it that bionic sort of mecha kaiju effect. Yeah, and if we come around to the front, what's kind of interesting is this was made, as I said, in 2019 to 2020. The original dragon I made in 2017, this is my first year mock building. This is the original dragon that was attacking the base. And I came back years later and said, I want to try to take this on now I have more experience and, scale it up a bit. So now the original one has become the pet because of the scale difference. So I've got, some Blacktron folks there for scale, the figs. You can kind of see the scale of this. And it's roughly 35 inches tall, so nearly 3 feet in height.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a very imposing build here.
Yeah.
So one thing that's cool about this, you've got all these kind of panels and bodywork pieces on the outside, but what's that more core structure like in there? It looks like you got a lot of ball joints. How did that come together?
Yeah, I'm using a lot of the character structures from Hero Factory or Bionicle in the core, but with the construction ball joints, those large ball joints, you can use them and connect them together to create meshes and really fill out a chest cavity so it's completely hollow throughout. And the legs, I had to make up some of my own parts. So I'm doing part out of parts or pooping a lot of the Technic structure into the legs. So right in here, it's a bunch of Technic work and axles to get the larger span that you need to cross an entire distance of the legs.
So you're using individual parts to create those larger sections.
Yeah, they're just linked Technic lift arms with transitioning into the larger Bionicle socket joints to make it all work.
So how does this whole thing stand up then? What's it like structurally when you're displaying this at a show?
Sure, yeah, so the legs were not weak enough to support it. After struggling for a few weeks, I just put on 2 PAB cups, inverted and taped together. Bricksmith was kind enough to say, why don't you just Technic that thing with a stand? And I went ahead and just put in a dark gray stand for it. And my photo backdrop is dark gray. So that would make it blend best in for the photography. Not necessarily for show, but for the photography, the stand kind of blended hopefully into the background and made it stand out.
And then one of the things that really stands out with this build is those kind of trans green and orange elements. So what types of elements were you able to include from those two colors to make this pop?
Right, so Blacktron to me was always trans neon green. So I always started with trans neon green, and once I realized, the UV would make them fluoresce, I had to do trans neon green, which is another fluorescent element to highlight it out. But I pretty much just went nuts with trans neon and pulled all of my trans neon elements out that I could possibly find, put them on the model. All of the flames were on the pick-a-brick wall at the time, so getting a cup of that pretty much led to all the flame effects. And lastly, these vintage stickers down here, I custom cut into shapes and sizes to give it a cyber feel. And it turned out that the green highlights down in there fluoresced as well. So I got lucky on that. So it gives a little bit more fluorescent pop and a glow zone effect. And then you can see I've got like chain feeder weapons coming in to the guns. If there's basically a weapon that will hurt something, it's on this thing. Yeah.
That's the goal, and that's what makes this such an imposing looking build as well.
Yeah, totes aggro, Blacktron.
But yeah, this is such a cool build to see on display. What's it like for transport? I imagine this thing isn't easy to move around.
It's not. There were 2 belts that were really delicate. This is one of them. And if you look behind the table, you can see that there is a wooden frame in the back. And that wooden frame has Technic lift arms screwed into the wooden base. And what I did is I pinned the base that it stands on into those Technic elements and then screwed those into the wooden frame. So by the end, the base going into this guy just sitting on it with gravity is screwed into a wooden frame, which is then lashed into a moving vehicle. So yeah, I came in from Denver to Utah. I went over the Rockies with this thing. I-70 is a bit broken up in parts. And yeah, some pieces popped, some pieces fell off. But overall, it works really well. And then I have 3 smaller boxes for all the little greebles or delicate parts that I'll modularly tear the pieces off, pack them up appropriately, and it's just left with a body without a head.
Well, absolutely fantastic work here. I think you knocked it out of the park for your first kind of Bionicles type
It's a
build.
good first shot. Yeah, yeah. There are a lot more talented builders, but by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I've done Bionicle. It's good. I've got it laid into the theme, and I can move on from there. And from then on, I can do Bionicle combination builds. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you love it. It's so
No,
good.
I really do, and I think the combination of the trans neon colors with just all of the Bionicle panels and pieces works so well. Thank you for bringing it out to the show here. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for the interview. It's so good to meet you guys. I've watched you for a long time. It's really special if I meet you and be able to show one of my creations.